Since nobody had understood that his first maneuver, his decision to embrace the profession of philosopher, was also a provocation, he fled. For centuries, every detail of this episode of the Vita Ambrosi, written by Ambrose's secretary and biographer Paulinus of Milan, has been painstakingly scrutinized, passionately questioned, and tirelessly commented on. It contains one of the most influential hagiographic themes in political life, a show of renouncing power as the foundation of power. But before coming to this episode in our turn, and since we are on the brink of a book of history, but one that also intends to penetrate into the thickness of time, before leaping in, fully equipped with all the apparatuses that such expeditions of learning demand, let's paddle for a few more moments in the shallows, skimming the surface of the fiction recounted by Paulinus. Here's what comes next. Wanting to escape his fate, Ambrose decided to flee. One night, in secret, he left the city. He was alone in trying to reach Pavia, called Ticinum in antiquity after the river crossing it, the Ticino. But though he thought he was walking toward his destination, they found him in the morning at the so-called Roman gate of the city of Milan, for God, who was setting up the bulwark of his Catholic Church, prevented his flight. The people took him in safe custody, waiting for the prefect Probus and the Emperor Valentinian, the Clement, to confirm the election of the new bishop. Ambrose would not get away. Is Paulinus of Milan writing an account of a failed escape, or is he describing the results of disorientation? Ambrose doesn't realize that his steps are taking him back to his starting point, undoubtedly because he doesn't want to believe that every road leads to the Porta Romana, the equivalent of Paris's Voie Triomphale in the imperial capital that was Milan in the 4th century. But all paths converge. Ambrose is unable to leave the city. He is obstinately brought back. By whom? God, of course. So here we have the history of a man who cannot escape the force of his name or the place that force assigns him. Ambrose will be Bishop of Milan. Milan will become Ambrose's city, and the people of Milan, still today, will call themselves Ambrosians. For nearly 15 years, I have obsessively explored the history of the memorative gravitation of a name around a city, of a city around a name, murmuring lines from Baudelaire, "I have more memories than if I'd lived 1,000 years." What a strange idea when you think about it, to take an interest in these old refrains, and more seriously, to pretend they could be of interest to anyone else. Yet here's the thing. You can think, or dream really, all you want. But we don't choose the ghosts that haunt us. Menacing or mocking, they remain the faithful companions of our obsessions. And so here, once again, we will listen to a ghost story for consenting adults. Milan was made for this kind of bullheadedness. I chose it nearly 30 years ago, precisely because it was a cold city. At the time, it was a question of selecting, heart-steeled, a terrain for my thesis. At least that's what I naively believed, thinking it unreasonable to grow overly attached. Except, well, it didn't work out that way. Perhaps because the gentle spells cast by the Lombard capital, all the more insidious because they remain discreet, always come as a surprise. Alberto Savigno wrote it better than anyone in 1944 in Ascolto il tuo cuore, città, City, I listen to your heart, noting that the fiercest opponents of Stendhalian pleasure, once in Milan, convert to Stendhalism with the same ease as one tans at the seaside. And so I returned to Milan, carefree, reveling in reunions, somewhat regretting the time lost and the missed opportunities, regretting them, yes, without a doubt, but not all that much, and discovered, moved, that my memories